everybody, welcome to part 2 of the presidential debate episode of the KJD Show. I am your host, KJD. So we're going to continue our debate on the presidential election and on politics. The previous part we talked about the views of progressivism and the libertarianism views of their parties. And we talked about what would happen if every NFL team was 8-8. So, to start off with Blake of the Progressive Party, we're going to talk about the healthcare system. So Blake, the floor is yours.
All right. My opinion is that I do support the Affordable Health Care Act enacted by President Barack Obama. However, I believe it is only a step in the right direction. I am not fully supportive of all the provisions in the policy, but I do think the idea that there should be a single-payer system for everybody in the country, and that is a system that all people buy into, and it is able to negotiate prices with insurance companies, it is able to negotiate prices with pharmaceutical companies, it is able to negotiate prices with hospitals. That is the most effective way to provide the best health care to the most amount of people. And there may be exceptions where there are certain extremes on one side or the other where people may not have the best experiences with the system. However, the idea of the progressive viewpoint is that you want to provide the greatest amount of good to the greatest amount of people.
So Barrett of the Libertarian Party, what is your views on it?
Well, this is a very tough topic from a libertarian standpoint, and you would think it would not be, because a lot of people want to pigeonhole this belief system, but the core belief of a libertarian is that the only function of government is to protect those who can't protect themselves. That's the core belief of a libertarian, and that's really the only function of the federal government, is to protect the people who can't be protected. So in that vein, it's hard for me to argue that the government should not provide health care for those in need. But then there's also the belief of a libertarian party that I should not be responsible for somebody else's health care. So, but even deeper than that, the thing that worries me about this act is I really believe that it's gonna deter people from becoming doctors. It's going to, and it's gonna lead to many other things, like just now in New York, they said you can't get a giant soda at a baseball game anymore because it's bad for you. The minute the government's in charge of your health care, then they can tell you what you can and cannot eat. Or, like, well, you know, you had a 3-meat pizza today. I mean, now your health insurance is more expensive than the other guy. And that's my fear in the whole thing, is that it's a slippery slope into when you give up certain rights in your life, that they lead to the destruction of other things that you don't think are coming.
Blake, would you like to rebuttal?
I would say that a lot of his fears may be founded on certain not well thought out government policies. Not necessarily that the government cannot effectively administrate health care or effectively administrate public health without infringing on the rights of the individual. We have numerous examples in Europe. We have Sweden, we have Finland, we have Norway, we have Germany, for example, France, where these countries have excellent healthcare systems, and you do not have people reporting regular infringes on their human rights. You do not have people reporting they cannot drink a Coke. You do not have people reporting that they cannot have a popcorn at the movie theater. You have Canada to the north of us, where you have no people reporting such egregious crimes against them, even though the government enforces a single-payer system. So I think these fears are unfounded and based only upon a state rule Which, as far as I understand it, the libertarians may prefer states to make regulations as to the federal government. And in the example he cited, it was the state of New York who enforced that particular decision. Nothing to do with the federal government.
I would have no problem with it. I have no problem with Massachusetts, for instance, with Romney instituting a Massachusetts healthcare policy. I have no problem with that. I just do not think it's a federal issue. I believe that if I lived in Massachusetts and Mitt Romney decided to put in a state healthcare system, then I have the ability to move to another state. I don't think I should have to give up my citizenship and move to another country to go somewhere that has a different system. I believe that, you know, if Romney sucks, then I can move to Texas. It may not be the easiest thing to do, but it's easier than packing up and going to Europe or Australia. And that, I believe that we're a republic. We're not a country per se in that we all have to be the same. I mean, that's a debate as old as the United States has been founded. I mean, it was a debate when they founded the Union. So, I mean, that's something that we can debate till we're blue in the face, but it's never going to be, I don't think it'll ever be answered.
Okay, so since you had the right to answer the last question first, we're going to go ahead. We want to talk about individual rights. What do you feel about the individual? Do you feel like it should be based on more based on the individual's success? You know, what that person puts in. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I believe that a person's individual success should be rewarded, not disdained. And I understand people's anger when there's somebody who was put in a silver, had a silver spoon in their mouth when they were born, and they were given every right to succeed where somebody else maybe more qualified was not. But that's nobody's fault. It's life, and I don't know how you reset that without.
Bring it home, Barrett.
Huh?
Bring home that point.
Come on.
I'm just saying, I don't know how you reset that without just totally blowing up everything. And people are always going to rise to the top, the people that should. And 90% of the time, people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth that aren't smart, aren't intelligent, they wind up screwing something up. So, I mean, I don't know how to fix it. But I believe everybody's individual rights should, and their successes should be praised, not punished.
Blake, we'd like to hear your progressive views.
Praise, not punish.
We'd like to hear the progressive views on the individual.
Well, first, let me clarify that progressives do not seek to punish people for success. We only seek to make people realize and make people contribute more depending upon their success. And we don't necessarily see that as any sort of punishment. Now, his argument, he said just now that most people who are born with a silver spoon in hand, that if they screw up, suddenly they fall to the bottom. But I think that is categorically untrue. The fact over the last 30 years is that the wealthy have increased their share of the economy, the top 1 to 5%, by 275%. The middle 50% have only done so by about 30%. Now that is a clear indication that one side is succeeding much more than the other. And I think that is a telling statistic on who is winning and who is failing in this national debate and in this national competition. This isn't because of natural competition. This is because those at the top have established themselves as an artificial elite and they are enforcing themselves at the top. Their children are going to succeed. They're going to succeed. Everyone else has to pay the cost. Now,
But is it easier for them to succeed?
yes, it's much easier for the wealthy to succeed. And the children of the wealthy to succeed, and the children of their children to succeed. I mean, that is a natural course of the events. The only thing progressives want to do, they do not want to crush success. They want to make sure everyone has the same chance of success as the children of the wealthy do. Give them that opportunity to succeed.
Barrett, would you like to rebut?
I mean, I don't know how you can ever have the same, anybody can ever have the same chance of anything. It's 90% of it's luck, 5% of its ability, and 5% of it's how you were brought up. So all y'all are trying to do is eliminate the 5% of the equation, and it's never going to be there. And so what do you do when? And by the way, we do have a progressive tax policy. I mean, I don't know if that it's hardly yet, but it is progressive.
1% pays 25% of the taxes.
Is that a yes or no
Because
question?
1% pays 25%
Because
of
1%
the
of the
taxes.
population owns nearly 40% of the wealth of the country. It's only now.